So you be wanting to know the tale of Monkey Island, eh? Would that be the game or the movie? Trick question, only one of them exists. Anyway, the fellow over there in the corner can tell you the story.
Oh, I guess that's me. So, there is too much to be said about video game movies. I don't want to put you through a whole preamble about what works and what doesn't, so suffice it to say that a few properties have managed to successfully make the jump to the big screen. Sonic? Pretty okay. Detective Pikachu? Also pretty okay. Tomb Raider 2018? I'll defend it. There are also plenty of video game movies stuck in development hell or outright cancelled. One of my best friends over at Maniac Reviews has a great breakdown of the Sly Cooper movie that was supposed to come out in 2016. But 15 years before that, the Monkey Island movie was canned in 2001. Fortunately, a lot of material survived the scrapping, giving us a unique opportunity to really look at the movie that might have been. This is that story, and the story behind the story. Considering the first game released in 1990, it's probably best to start with an explanation of what the Monkey Island franchise actually is. Created at LucasArts, it began with The Secret of Monkey Island, a point-and-click adventure starring Guybrush Threepwood, a young man with a dream.
My name's Guybrush Threepwood, and I want to be a pirate.
What follows is an adventure that sees Guybrush pass 3 trials, gather his crew, sail to Monkey Island to rescue the kidnapped governor Elaine Marley, and defeat the evil Captain LeChuck.
Aye, don't be saying that name so loudly now. He's still got followers out there.
Monkey Island 2 released in 1991, and then there was a 6-year gap before The Curse of Monkey Island came along in 1997. After that, we saw Escape from Monkey Island in 2000, Tales of Monkey Island in 2009, and Return to Monkey Island in 2022. While not every single game in the series is a point-and-click adventure, they are all united by anachronisms, locations and items from the wrong time period that play a big part in the series' sense of humor. For example, the first game features Stan, a boat salesman who looks and sounds like a modern-day used car salesman. The next 2 games include a full-on amusement park, and the gags continue.
Sorry boys, could you stop following us? It's creepy.
That humor is what led one-time director David Carson to pitch a Monkey Island movie in the first place. His son thought it would make for a good movie, so Carson went for it. Carson worked at Industrial Light and Magic, the world-famous VFX company that was founded during the creation of Star Wars. Since Monkey Island was a LucasArts joint under the same corporate Lucasfilm umbrella, pitching a movie adaptation was a no-brainer. Carson's initial treatment was very similar to the plot of the first game, with Guybrush Threepwood seeking to become a pirate. LeChuck is there as the villain, of course, and the same goes for other key characters like Elaine Marley and the castaway Herman Toothrot.
Don't bother to say hello. I've only been waiting 20 years to talk to somebody civilized. I don't mind.
ILM's Patty Blau, who was high up on the company ladder, paired Carson up with 2 other writers, Corey Rosen and Scott Liebrecht. As more people started contributing ideas, the treatment began to branch out from the original pitch. That's not necessarily a bad thing, and we'll get a great look at some of those later ideas pretty soon. But ultimately, the squad ended up pitching the movie to Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment, where the project was greenlit. At that point, the treatment started to diverge from the game's plot even further, as more folks from ILM were brought onto the story team. This is a video game channel first and foremost, so I'm not going to get on my soapbox about how screenwriting by committee often destroys the original intent of a project. But when everyone is piling on idea after idea, you can see how a movie can have trouble bearing all that weight and actually getting off the ground. Ultimately, the finished script was put to the side. ILM's story department was dismantled in 2001, and that was the end of that. It might not be totally accurate to say that the Monkey Island movie was decidedly cancelled, but it certainly was put away and lost to time.
Aye, it's a shame. I love going to the movies with me mates. The big screen is so helpful for my astigmatism.
But that's not where this story ends. Thanks to the Monkey Island Special Edition collection in 2011, we're able to get a real sense of what the movie would have actually entailed. Entail. I guess that's technically a monkey pun.
Look behind you, a 3-headed monkey.
Ha! We're not going to fall for that old trick again.
The package includes not just remastered versions of the first two games, but also a complete collection of the Curse of Monkey Island storyboards. The movie might have shared the same name of the third game, but it was going to be radically different from any of the games in the series. We're going to walk through the first two acts now, so get yourself a snack and sit back. It begins with LeChuck seizing a jewel from a tribe of monkeys. That seems pretty par for the course. Then Elaine Marley shows up, but instead of being the governor of Melee Island, she's now captain of the Navy's anti-pirate division. They clash, then we cut to our hero Guybrush Threepwood, who lives on a houseboat with his pet monkey Sam. It's an animated movie, so animal sidekicks are basically required by law. Guybrush's goal is still to become a pirate, and he gets his chance when LeChuck shows up at the Scum Bar, the same place where Guybrush meets his first pirate pals in the original game. LeChuck needs a decoy to slip past Elaine's blockade, and Guybrush is the perfect sucker. He's brought into LeChuck's fleet and even given his own ship. As you might expect, it's quickly seized by Elaine. With some quick thinking that mirrors the point-and-click puzzle solving of the games, Guybrush and his crew escape by firing a cannon straight up into the air, destroying Elaine's ship on the way back down. They also take her hostage, which is not the best way to start a relationship.
Now me, I prefer to take a lass to a nice sushi joint. I'm a man of the sea and culture.
Checking in on LeChuck, we see that he's made his way to Voodoo Island, where he plans to create a fleet that unites all pirates, living and dead. But the ritual goes wrong, and LeChuck's crew is instead transformed into something between life and death: zombies. It turns out Guybrush stole LeChuck's all-important jewel earlier. That's a pro-pirate move. Clearly he learned from his previous mistakes.
Aha! Caught you, you little thief.
Soon after, Guybrush's crew arrives on Monkey Island, as we ramp up toward the third act. I don't want to take up all your time, so if you want to read the rest of it, there's a link to the entire storyboard collection in the description. All in all, it does sound like an entertaining film, one that, to borrow a cliche, would probably be fun for the whole family.
Hey, you know what a pirate's favorite movie rating is? Trick question, it's PG-13.
Now, if the zombie pirate army sounded familiar to you, you're not alone. There's a common misconception that the Monkey Island movie was either turned into Pirates of the Caribbean or that pirates ripped off the Monkey Island concept. There certainly are similarities. Both LeChuck and Barbossa's crew are cursed zombie pirates, and Guybrush and Captain Jack Sparrow always have a one-liner at the ready.
You may kill me, but you may never insult me.
But then, Guybrush is really much more comparable to Will Turner, and then, yeah, the comparisons don't totally add up. And that's for good reason. Pirates of the Caribbean has nothing to do with Monkey Island. Amblin was adapting a video game, and Disney was turning one of its theme park rides into a movie. It wasn't the first time Disney tried to pull that off, but it was the first time it did so in parallel with the Monkey Island team. In fact, Pirates screenwriters Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio once visited ILM and got to see some of the same artwork that we just saw. While the Monkey Island work never resulted in a complete movie, ILM did become the studio for Pirates of the Caribbean's award-winning special effects. So while there's no direct connection, there was a degree of parallel thinking going on at the time, and the studios eventually worked together on future films.
It's a real deep impact Armageddon situation, but if only one of them had the asteroid. Wait, I'm gonna confuse myself.
There's also something to be said for keeping art contained within its original medium. Not every book needs to become a movie or streaming series. Likewise, not every video game needs to become, well, a movie or streaming series. This whole story begs the question of whether or not Monkey Island even needed to be adapted in the first place. For my part, I can see it working to a certain extent. The game already contains plenty of setup and payoff, smart set dressing that tells you more about the world at large, and, stop me if you've heard this before, it's also legitimately funny.
How could I sell something so dear? Then again, a deal's a deal, right?
Plus, the game is already laid out in a way that's pretty close to a movie structure. Part 1 sees Guybrush learning to become a pirate on Melee Island. Part 2 is when he gathers his crew and sails to Monkey Island itself, and parts 3 and 4 involve confronting LeChuck's ghost crew before returning to Melee Island to stop the captain from marrying Elaine. The final charge toward the chapel, complete with streets full of enemy pirates, is exactly the kind of thing you'd expect from the castle-storming finale of a film. Of course, there are also plenty of elements that work best in video game form. When Guybrush first meets Elaine, his dialogue options are all mumbling nonsense, the perfect representation of being tongue-tied or in love at first sight. When he trains in sword fighting, He learns that the real secret to winning is to insult the opponent. These one-liners then get remixed for his battle against the Swordmaster.
I will milk every drop of blood from your body.
How appropriate. You fight like a cow.
Insults are always the way to go, which is why any stupid swine still watching this video needs to see themselves out.
Whether or not you think Monkey Island would have made for a good movie, it was in the works at one time. The franchise began in 1990, becoming what is now pretty much the most popular point-and-click adventure series of all time. Being under the same Lucasfilm banner, it wasn't hard for original pitchman David Carson to get the ball rolling. But with too many cooks in the kitchen, or pirates on the deck if you will, the project got bogged down with too many ideas, eventually being left on a shelf. It is really nice that the special editions give us a look at what might have been. We'll never see the movie as intended, but the complete storyboards make it really easy to imagine how the final film would look. If you need to scratch that pirate movie itch, Pirates of the Caribbean has you covered, and it's pretty darn funny too. And if you feel the urge to play a point-and-click adventure, Monkey Island will always be there waiting for you.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like what Framework is doing, definitely hit that subscribe button in the middle. It would help me out an awful lot if you do. And if you want to see what we've already cooked up, you can hit that link on the far left. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.